Hi, and welcome to another SecretEntourage.com video. Today we have the pleasure of speaking with Braydon of Sitrusy LLC, an app company that actually has two very downloaded apps, both working on the Minecraft platform. And at 20 years of age, he's now been able to accumulate over $50,000 from just one app alone. And that's not including all his other apps. But today he's going to teach us a little bit more about how to market an app and also tell us a little bit about his entrepreneurial journey, which, from what I understand, Braydon, has been pretty amazing. So I don't really know where to start, my friend, but tell us a little bit about, kind of give us an overview about yourself first, and then we'll kind of jump into the app game.
Right. Okay, so I guess I could say I started out at the age of, say, 16. My family was going through some hardship, and I wanted to try and make a difference and maybe help them out a little bit. And so I got into the world of online e-commerce at 16 years old. It's a really crazy thing to do, but I wanted to try and make some money online, and I saw that as the best potential as far as reaching customers and making money. So I started this company, and it basically worked off of the idea of finding automotive performance shops around the United States that had overstocked parts and that really needed to sell their products. And so I went with that idea for a while. It failed. Good learning experience. From there, I went off into doing a lot of web apps, and I originally built something called the Social Fork, which was a social networking platform that had a few thousand users. I sold it to another company, decent profit. From there, more web companies, and then my friend Thomas back here, one day, I think it was last year of July, we had been talking for a while, coming up with all these ideas, and he was like, hey, we should get into the app business, and I was like, okay. And so, we started doing that, and we started jumping into apps, and it's kind of how I got here. So,
how old were you when you started building apps?
I was 19.
Okay, so 19 years old. Did you have any experience with programming, or how did you get through learning how to build an app?
Right, so programming in general I've known for a very long time. I've been programming since I was maybe 8 years old. I picked up DOS when I was a really young kid. And, I've just learned all these languages. And so when apps came around, it was really easy for me to transition into the language Objective-C and Java for mobile app development. Okay. That's kind of how we got there.
So before we get into the app game again, I want to talk a little bit about this automotive performance job. I thought that was a very clever and cool idea. And as you know, we love automotive stuff, so that's right. Kind of a... So you helped, I guess, shops that had oversupply of parts that they couldn't get rid of. Mm-hmm. How did you do that? I don't understand specifically. What did you create? What was the platform?
So basically, it was an e-commerce website, and what I would do is I would call the larger shops around the United States. I would just give them a call. I would see if I could work out a deal with them, if they would give me a big discount if they had overstocked parts. And then I would list those parts on this e-commerce platform for sale, marked up from my discounted price. And basically, it was the idea that if I could move all this inventory for them and get them the sales they need on products that aren't moving locally and that aren't moving on their own website, by using marketing and everything, that I could make something useful though.
So did that turn out to what you wanted it to turn out to?
No, I think I made about 30 to 50 sales in the course of 3 months. It failed because I didn't have a lot of time. I was still in high school at the time. I wish honestly I could have done more with it, but it's just one of those things, you learn and you move on, I guess.
So you were fairly new in entrepreneurship at that point, and you failed, but it was a learning experience.
Exactly.
Knowing what you know today and analyzing the situation then, what was the main reason you failed?
I would say it would come down to time. I was still in high school, like I said, and my parents, they were supportive, but they were more supportive of me going and staying in high school, so they didn't want it to be something that interfered with my schoolwork. And so time is the one thing. Had I had more time, I would have been able to call more shops, market better, monetize the site more, put advertisements out, do more. But being that I didn't, that was probably the one big downfall.
Okay. And at 19, you got into the app business world and you started making apps. What was your first app?
It was, have you ever heard of the app I Have That?
I Have That?
like I would caption that is basically what it is. It's like an application that you take photos with, and it just puts a random caption on it. We made an app that was very similar to it, but had some upgraded features, and it was called FunnyCap. And it's basically something you could take your existing pictures, and it would automatically add, funny captions on it, like, your mom was fat or something like this, so I would tap that or something weird, just funny captions. Or you could add your own. And our app basically played off of the concept of that existing top app, and that was our first app.
Do you still have that app today?
Yeah, it's still in the marketplace, but it's definitely not a top performer. The app was more of a learning experience, in all honesty. But.
So let's talk about that learning experience. You released this Funny Cap, which is almost like a secondary app to someone's existing platform, right? Like
right.
It's a better copycat. So a lot of people seem to be doing that these days. How many downloads does it have to date?
I would probably say only 2,000, something very minimal and
okay. So 2,000 downloads later, what was the biggest learning experience from that app?
Probably it would come down to better marketing. Back then, when we first released that, we didn't know a lot about marketing. We didn't know a lot about how title structuring and keywords and everything and screenshots and icons affect how your app ranks. And I think seeing the poor performance from poor keywords and a poor icon and screenshots is what I learned the most from, is that it really comes down to how well you market those things and how much effort you put into your images and content. Okay,
so I like that because recently you just launched 2 new apps, which you were saying have gotten over 1 million downloads and have earned you a significant amount of money in a very short period of time.
Right.
So let's get into the core of this interview and talk a little bit about step by step. How do you market a new app in today's app industry?
I think the first thing that is very important is finding a solid idea, a solid niche that isn't too oversaturated in the marketplace, or finding anything that there's a very big opening. That's what I like to do. I like to go into the marketplace. I like to look and see what's trending as far as existing games or TV. I like to see what cartoons or things are very, very popular, or games or anything along those lines. And typically what I'll do is I'll start with an idea related to those things, and I will take that, I'll make an app out of it, and then from there it comes down to keyword research. And then at that point you continue with keyword research and title. I guess, would you like me to explain step by step? Is that kind of what you want? Or
what I really want is someone new who's watching this right now would definitely get benefit as to knowing what are some important differentiators they can take to make sure that they don't have 2,000 downloads like you learned the hard way, and instead can go to something more sustainable, like maybe at least 20, 30, 40,000 fairly quickly.
Right. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to want to do, like I said, find a solid niche. Find something that doesn't have a lot of competition on the App Store. Find something that has a lot of popularity. And then from that point, what you can do is use a number of tools. The first thing you're going to want to get down is keywords. Keywords are extremely important in the iOS App Store. Google's a little different, but I suppose for this we'll focus on iOS since it seems to be the better revenue generating one. So keywords, I typically like to use... have you heard of the Google keyword tool? Right. So typically, I will use that, and I will type in whatever niche I'm currently thinking of making an app for, and I like to see that there's keywords related to that niche that people are searching that have a very high number of downloads. I mean, a high number of impressions in searches monthly. And when I see that, I'll typically take those relative keywords and plug them in as keywords for the app itself. Because typically the way it works is if you see a keyword on the Google keyword tool that has a high amount of impressions and searches, the App Store is going to be the same because people search the same things pretty much on the App Store, on Google. And from there, I'll get a general idea of keywords based on views, like I keep saying. And then at that point, it really comes down to finding a designer designing a very solid icon that stands out from every other icon in the App Store for whatever niche you're doing. And what I typically like to do as far as coming up with design ideas is I'll look at the existing top apps, and I like to look at what their design style is. Usually the top apps, you'll see a very unique design style, super high quality, and I like to take ideas from that, and those are typically how I get that